stars and everything in between. He's the star, Richard Bazzi from Schultz Ford at schultzford.com. I am Bubba from 100.7 Star. And the in-between today is Bruce Pompeani, who we've seen him on television. And now if you've seen a billboard, chances are Bruce Pompeani might be responsible for that billboard. Welcome to Car Stars and everything in between.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. Yes, I am the other Pompeani, the one who sits in the shadows, gets a lot less attention, but I kind of like it that way.
And makes a lot more money, and he's younger and better looking than.
I like that, Richard. We're recording, right? I can play this back.
Okay. And by the way,
I'm so sorry. He paid me.
This is the truth. The Pompeanis have the best voices ever.
Oh, that's very nice of you to say. My brother's is way better. I seriously mean that. I tell him, he's been doing this for like 44 years now. He still has the same energy, the same deep baritone voice. None of that has changed, and I'm amazed by that, because I know, he does a lot of talking when he's doing the play-by-play. Then he follows with the extra point and all the different shows that he does. I sit back and I think, wow, I don't know how he maintains that after doing it for so long. You think it would trail off a little bit. It doesn't. It gets stronger as he gets older.
Although
he's certainly an icon in this city for sure. Your whole family is.
Oh,
Your niece is fabulous. Everybody.
My niece, yes.
Although, Bruce, I do have to say that while your brother does in fact have a great knowledge base of sports, watching him throw out the first pitch at the Washington Wild Things game left something to be desired for his athletic acumen.
That was a little sad. Let me tell you the backstory here. So he went to my son's house. It was a big backyard, and he was actually throwing warm-ups before he goes there. And then he gets on the mound and he bounces it in the home plate. It was kind of embarrassing, but and the bobblehead was going. He was having a good time. But I thought he would have at least made it to the catcher's glove.
Oh, that's pretty funny. But I really want to talk about my favorite topic.
What's that?
Me.
Richard Bazzi's favorite topic is Richard Bazzi.
That's a good topic.
And I wish he was joking.
Bruce, if there were an Academy Award for effort, if there were an Academy Award to commitment, I would tell you would win hands down every
Well, thank you.
I have never encountered anybody that took as seriously as you do and as committed, and the belief you have in the product that you represent it's unbelievable. Really is. And I tell anybody that wants to hear it.
And so they should know that I've called you for about 5-6 years before you finally agreed, A, to take my call, and then B, to move forward with the billboard. But I appreciate that. We do have a great product at Lamar. Where there's so much media clutter in the world today, we rise above the clutter and put you in the spotlight where people can just look at you, focus on your brand. And as I told you, you are the true icon in this market. I mean, you are an iconic figure. Your Schultz Ford brand is so popular. So the billboard that we have in the Strip District with your hat and the yeehaw and Schultz Ford, I mean, that's just what people identify with. And then we're going to speak to car buyers 24/7 and at the perfect time when they're out driving in their old vehicles. So I think it's a great opportunity for you. And you're certainly deserving of a prominent spot along the Pittsburgh landscape after all these years.
Bruce, I mean, honestly, talking to you, it's just I always come away amazed with the wealth of information that you're able to provide. I also would, the Academy Award winner for design would also go, and we have to call her out. Is this billboard? I saw this billboard, immediately fell in love with it, immediately made it our logo now. It is our logo. And Kara's getting it for me. You sent me this, if you can see that.
Yeah.
You sent me this, and this is our billboard.
Right.
And it is now our corporate identity. So please tell me young lady's name that created it.
It's actually a young man. His name is Jeremy Boston, and he designed that for us. And I knew as soon as I saw it, I said, oh, Richard's going to love this. So that's why instead of emailing you the version of it, I wanted to bring it on a mini billboard placard that you could see it and really understand how that's going to look on the streets.
Does he understand that how appreciative we are because he really this is a superstar event here. It's wonderful.
Yeah, he does a great job. He's won, which is a big. You're just talking about Academy Awards in our business. The Obie Awards are huge, and he's won a couple of those. So he's great at billboard design. Billboard design's a lot different than other media. You need to be specific. You need to tell a story with few words and images, and he's able to capture that for you.
And I hope, has it been nominated for anything at this point?
Well, the nominations did not come up, but it certainly will be nominated. Yes, absolutely, for design.
So wait a second. You're telling me that Richard Bazzi's billboard is going to be nominated for an award?
Yes. Of
course.
course.
I don't know these things. Listen, Bruce, when Richard tells me things, I usually sometimes, maybe on occasion, sometimes think he's telling the truth.
No, he's telling the truth, because have you seen the board in person, Bubba? Because yes. I mean, yes. It's outstanding. It's like, oh my goodness. We had so many people call our office when they saw that, and they thought it was the coolest thing. And that's the other thing that billboards, it's the intangible. We have the Mount Washington sign. We do a copy change on there, and all the news stations are calling us like it's a major news story. I'm like, really? I mean, we're just changing the copy. I mean, it's a 220-foot billboard. It takes a while to change it.
Isn't Richard's? And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm just surmising something that is untrue. I feel like the billboard that Richard has up is the biggest billboard I've seen. It just seems bigger than the rest.
It's one of the biggest, and I think what makes it seem even larger is the fact that it's alone on that bridge. Yeah. So it just stands out. It's 14 by 48, which is huge, but it absolutely has that feel to it. And it also has an extension. So the creative goes above the actual billboard space with the hat. And I think that commands a lot of attention.
I do too, Bruce. I get phone calls still, and people send pictures underneath it, showing me that they saw it with thumbs up. Mark Fogel, who is, he a great relationship, a great friendship with Mark Fogel, who was 3.5 years in a Russian prison, and we're now friends. He was probably one of the first that saw it as he was riding his bike on that bridge. But it connects to an emotion,
absolutely.
Right? And billboards do that. It's an emotional storytelling device, and this particular one, the emotion it elicits is yeehaw is an exuberant, over-the-top expression of happiness. That is my definition of yeehaw.
And although your face is not on that billboard, everybody knows that's you, because of the hat. They know exactly who we're talking about.
100%. And I just tell you, I don't think I've ever done anything with as an emotional attachment to it as this. You continue to try to get me to open up my eyes a little bit more and expand this. And frankly, we're going to probably have to do that, because I think this is
right as the key line was coming.
Yeah.
I want to get, when we come back, I want to go down this path, because we're talking, even though we're talking about Richard Baz, even though we're talking about Schultz Ford, and we're talking to Bruce Pompeani, what we're really talking about is branding. And it's something that Richard has done better than anybody else. And Bruce can talk a lot about. This is Cars, Stars, and everything in between. We'll be back with more next on 100.1 FM, AM 1020 KDKA. Perfect. Stand by. Hang on. I'm just saving this, so give me 1 second. All right, and we will start with the second segment. Just let me make sure this saves correctly. Stand by. All right, here we go. 100.1 FM, AM 1020 KDKA. This is Cars, Stars, and everything in between He's the star. Richard Bazzi, Schultz Ford, schultzford.com. I'm Bubba from 100.7 Star. And from Lamar, Bruce Pompeani. And when we last left, we spent a lot of time talking about Richard Bazzi's hopefully soon to be award-winning billboard that you can see in the Strip District. But really, this conversation for anybody listening today is really about branding, because right now branding is everything, right? And Richard Bazzi's cowboy hat, Richard Bazzi's saying yeehaw, and his acronym for that is all part of something bigger than just a car dealership. It is about branding. So when you create something that everybody sees and everybody knows, that's so important. And one example, one of my mentors in the restaurant industry was the first general manager ever at the first TGI Fridays ever. And I don't know if there's any Fridays left, but you know what they said? They said they didn't have to put a sign on any of the buildings. All they needed was the red and white striped awning, and everybody knew who it was, because TGI Fridays branding was the single most important thing that they did. So
yeah, it's key in advertising. The whole deal is you want people to think of you first. You have competitors, and especially in the automotive industry, it's a very highly competitive field. So you want people to think of you first. And I would venture to say that if you went out and quizzed people along the streets and said, hey, name a famous Pittsburgh car dealer, Richard Bazzi is going to be the first person they think about. And that's because of all the branding he has done over the years. The billboard is the coup d'etat for him. I think that he just has done a remarkable job. And, it's just about getting people to know you, to understand you, and just seeing, like you said, with TGI Fridays, seeing the hat, automatically it's Richard Bazzi of Schultz Ford. And that's a huge advantage to have in a highly competitive field.
Richard, when you started with the cowboy hat, we lost Richard. So I wonder, when Richard started with the cowboy hat, or Richard started with the yeehaw, part of me wonders if the intention was there to make it his thing, or do you find, Bruce, that branding sometimes is accidentally stumbled upon?
I believe Richard's full intent was to do that and to brand that as his unique identity in this market. But I do believe there are other advertisers who do stumble upon it, and then they realize, like, you know what, we're kind of like, we got the name here. People know us by just our name or whatever symbol we may be using. So then they do cling to that. But a lot of people make the mistake. They change their messages too much. They don't stick with a particular, brand image or logo or message or tagline, whatever you want to call it. And so then it's not as memorable. It's about getting people to think of you first. And I think he's done a remarkable job doing that, as have you, Bubba. I mean, everybody knows you, recognizes you, and certainly your restaurant. So, and they just know by Bubba. If you said Bubba in Pittsburgh, everybody knows exactly who that is.
And I live by the simple motto, and it is narrow focus delivers broad results.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And with narrow focus delivering broad results, it makes me think, think about this. Richard Bazzi sells so many Fords, right? I don't even, how many Fords are there in the Schultz Ford profile, Richard?
Oh, thousands.
Right. So my point is, but Richard Bazzi has become a president award-winning dealership. Are you the top Ford dealership in the state of Pennsylvania, Richard?
We are.
These top, and while Ford is an amazing product, much easier to sell because it is so good, but a cowboy hat and a saying, along with great customer service and all of the other things behind it, of course. If all he was a cowboy hat and a saying, but he had bad customer service or bad service or all those kinds of things, it wouldn't work. But when you put that all together, it's a magic recipe for success.
Absolutely. And you know what else it is? And Bubba, you're a part of all of this, are the community events, the community support that he gives routinely. I don't see anybody else doing that. I mean, he's always fronting an organization, helping out and giving back to the community. And I mean, that's invaluable when you do that.
There's so many. Actually, Mark Fogel was in my office 2 days ago, and we already talked about who he is. Mark asked me, is there anybody in the market that you could say also does a good job. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of good dealers here. There really isn't anybody. There is one that I think probably does a very good job, and somebody that I respect, and that's the Cochran Group. And then you'll probably be surprised to hear me endorse somebody else, but that's okay because they do a really good job. And but other than that, but the problem, and as I told Mark, so Mark said, so there should be no competition then, and basically, but I said, Mark, I can't get out there though as Richard Bazzi and say, hey, come to us because we're the best. That means nothing. Nobody wants to hear that. They want to see it, feel it, touch it. They want to know it. The only way that message gets spread is through the people we serve every day. And, having the ability gives us the responsibility. And it's one of the things that we say when we talk about the scholarships and everything else. You have to have that initial contact, whether it's billboard, radio, television, whatever the media source. You have to have that initial connection, and then it becomes experiential, and the experience drives it's almost like what came first, the cart or the chicken or the egg. So the experiential part, but you have to have the media source that drives them to that. And what I don't want to have happen, and I'll say this, is I don't want the billboards to suffer from media fatigue. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that it's impactful, that it's lasting, but that it doesn't overstay its welcome. That even the smallest change, maybe you add something to it, but the smallest change that drives somebody to say, oh, that's different. But more than that, I'm very pleased with it. And as a person and as a professional, what you do, I mean, if you were to give somebody, you're obviously successful. If you were giving somebody career advice that is a young, up and coming person, what are the top 3 things you would advise them to do?
I would tell them to truly love what you're doing. That is key. If you don't love what you're doing, you're never going to be invested in it. I actually love to come to work each day. I look forward to working with people like you. I like to help people put together ad campaigns, and then I see, the rewards that they get, and it's very satisfying to me. So that's number one. You got to love what you're doing. You need to be very diligent. You need to work hard. It's easy today to get caught up in so many things, outside of the job. But we start here at 8. I'm usually here at 7 because I can't wait to get in the door. So that you're going to have that diligence, that, dedication to your job, and just be focused on what you're doing. It's easy to get focused. Make it about the customer. Don't make it about yourself. You're in advertising sales. You can make it about yourself. You need to make sure you're always showing the customer how this is going to help them. This is why we're here, to help you, not to help me. It's like a win-win partnership, but ultimately you're the one who has to see the success for us to have a successful relationship moving forward. And that's what I try to focus on. That's what I've done. So here's the interesting thing. I was in television as a broadcast journalist for 20 years. This is my 20th year at Lamar. So that's how old I am. But so I'm evenly divided here. And I like to think that I mesh both skills to communicate Lamar's message. Listen, I tell people all the time, in advertising, you have a choice. You can whisper or you can shout. And like you do with your yeehaws, you shout it and you have great success. And I hope it continues for you, as I know it will.
What a great way to end this.
Yeah, thank you. I think that you're such a great part of that. And you really do become somebody that I look at and say, now there's your path to success. You give the same effort that Bruce Pompeani does. And I will tell you, I guarantee success.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for being on Cars,
Bruce, thank you so much.
Everything in between.
Thank you both.